Yeah, so before we start, make sure we have the correct motivation. Yeah, so death and dying. So we discussed a few things about the kasa, that death is definite and the time is very uncertain, right? So that's kind of, we have to work on a lot, that the time is uncertain, because that's the main obstacle for us, that we're going to die to a certain extent, we understand, but that it can happen any moment is kind of more challenging. And because it can happen any moment, so what is our state of mind when you die? That's why if you always abide in virtue, then whenever you die, you're ready. But if your mind doesn't abide always in virtue, then when you die at a time that virtue is not really present, then it's different. So that's exactly why we come to the third point, right? That what is of benefit when you die? Yeah, so we know that possessions or wealth or best doctors or they cannot really help. When the time is there to die, then there's no way anything can stop it when the karma is there, right? So that means that, what we normally say, wealth, possessions, status, when you die, it's all over, so meaning you have to leave it behind. Yeah, when you die, if you die as a wealthy person or you die as a poor person, at the time of death is exactly the same, right? That you there's no difference. So that means that wealth and fame or whatever you gain, and that's exactly why you can give up the eight worldly dharmas, because when you die, that doesn't really bring any benefit. You might be very famous, but you die and then you were born. You don't know anymore you were that person, right? And people will forget you. Yeah, it's kind of So that means that these personal aspects, particularly with the third point, that you go against or you abandon the eight worldly dharmas because you see that the only thing that benefits when you die is your mind, and in particular the dharma, So possessions, wealth doesn't help. Friends and family, of course, they can help you if they're good, if they kind of understand that process. They can help us to calm down, or there's really advanced levels of people guide that person in the process of seeing the visions and things like that, But other than that, if you don't have a person like that, but you just have friends and family who just don't like you to die, then that's a very big obstacle, actually, because they just they get very emotional and things like that. So, So those people around you, they also not be of any benefit. So it's better to, die alone. Yeah. So that's what, many masters say, I come alone, I go alone. So I might as well stay alone. Yeah. So, so when you die, then if people are like that, then it creates obstacles, right? If they don't want you to die and they get very attached to you and become very emotional, things like that, and it stirs up also emotions in your mind, right? If you're not a strong, trained practitioner. So That's why we say friends, enemy, because enemies also. Maybe enemy is also kind of but yeah, friends and family, they don't really are of that much help, unless it's a real Dharma practitioner and who can guide you, or can do poa, things like that. Then of course those people are very helpful, or they put like images for you of holy beings you have faith in, and same. When my father passed away, although my father never said he was so much interested in Buddhism, but he met His Holiness, and yeah, he had somehow some respect, yeah, he never from the outside he didn't show any aspect of interest. But then I didn't know he had cancer, but we talked just, I think, a few weeks before I left, and then he got cancer. But then also I said, I know, I talk about death and then things like that. And I said, are you not afraid of death? He said, no. He said, I have a son, he's a monk, he will do prayers for me. So I thought, oh, interesting, So that's true if there is a person who has some faith, although maybe not a very Buddhist kind of faith, then still. So then when father was close to death, and my mother on the phone, so I put image and then that, and money pills for the last few weeks. So then you can prepare the person, right? So that's, if you have friends like that, that can be quite helpful. So he died very peacefully. Yeah, so then I was planning to go, but I just didn't make it in time. Because the paperwork in India was very complicated in those days, even for a case like that. So, and then I had so many obstacles. And then I left. So then my father passed, so I was in India because I could organize some pujas and offerings, things like that. But then Khyentse Rinpoche Lobsang Tsering, one of my main teachers for class those days, he said, yeah, you can do many pujas, but sponsor things, but you make prayers is very beneficial because you have a karmic connection, right? Yeah, so I did dedicate the offerings I made. And then I was planning to go for the cremation, but then I should arrive today, and tomorrow cremation, because paperwork was very complicated in those days in India. But then in London there was this bomb threat. It was 2006 or something, I think. So we were going down, and then they didn't say anything. They said, announce in plane, you have to collect your luggage. I thought, that's strange. Normally you go straight to, your luggage goes, right? London, and luggage goes to Amsterdam. But so it was strange. So then on the airport, then there was an announcement, all flights to Europe are cancelled, and this, that. So I asked security guy, what's happening? And everybody was panicking, I think. So the security guy looked at me, show your bag. Yeah. So yeah. But then it was very organized, and everybody. Then it was my first time. Not my first time in London, second time. So then I give you a hotel room, blah, 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 and things like that. But then I couldn't go, I was stuck for 2 days, 2 nights, because all flights were cancelled, right? So Heathrow, and then, it becomes kind of a mess, So I thought, okay. So I missed funeral, but then I thought, okay, go 2 days later, and then go back, airport. And then they were announcing, it was not that organized as on the first day. They were announcing, this flight, blah, 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 this number, cancelled, please go home and book again. I didn't have a home at that time because, I just had the hotel that paid for 2 nights, British Airways paid for everything. So then I was just there. I had a few rupees in my pocket. But, so then I thought, I called Jamyang. Guess what? Answering machine. So then I thought, I'll just, take the tube and just go. So then I rang the bell. I think Mike, I don't remember clearly, but I think Mike opened and said, come in. And so he gave me a room, and Geshe-Tashita was there. So, then I stayed all the night, and then I took the ferry next day. Anyway, it's just an adventure, but So that means that if you have people who can take care, who can put images and kind of, then very good. But other than that, people, especially animals, don't prevent them from getting close to the person who is dying, right? Yeah. So that means that, friends, possession, wealth, that doesn't benefit, right, when you die. And then even your body you have to leave behind, So that's why we are so much identify ourselves with the body. But you see how strong that grasping is, because we have died so many times. But every time we do the same thing over again, we think that's me. And when that goes, that's kind of scary, But actually, that's probably when you get some experience of meditation or consciousness, then probably that fear is not there anymore, or less strong, Because mostly in our day-to-day life, our mind is very much into, the I and being the body, you see? So that's detaching. To detach from body and possessions, that's exactly what they say in the scriptures. It's so important. Yeah. Because if you don't detach, then you grasp at things and the mind gets confused, and there's this fear of unknowing, and then, that creates obstacles, right? Yeah. So then to detach from the body and see there's more than just the body, For example, when you go to sleep, you can train like that, almost like dying. So to be aware, maybe tomorrow we do a meditation on the death process. That can be quite helpful. To those who practice Vajrayana, they do that probably on a daily basis, I suppose. To go to the, the dissolutions, things like that. But you don't explain that, but you can, as Lam Rinpoche said, you can go to the basis, right? So what happens when you die. The basis. You don't explain the path, but you can explain the basis for those who don't have HYT, So then maybe do tomorrow. So for today, we have to contemplate that, there's nothing much of importance or of help, right? Your friends, family, your own body you have to leave behind. So then you see that only consciousness goes, right? So then actually you see exactly why we need to develop the mind. And then if you die, next time you get strong anger or obsessive desire in your mind, then you think, if I die now, then what? So then helps you to also see how that you need to reduce or transform your mind, right? To eliminate these afflictions, So that's, because if you die in the middle of something like that, then I don't know, So, and when we don't train our mind now, then it becomes very complicated later on, right? Because when you die, you see when you're sick, check your mind. When you're really sick, and when you get really kind of pain or, things like that, see how you react, So when you die is even worse in most cases, right? The body gets very weak and the mind gets dull and so intense. So then when you die, it's much more intense situation than sit on your cushion and try to meditate on that. So that means we need really to contemplate on a regular basis, to always remember that we can die any moment, and then that helps so much. And then not help so much, but then also your concern over little things in life also will disappear. If you worry about this, worry about that, but eventually it doesn't matter that much when you die, right? So then the more you contemplate death and impermanence, probably less worry for this life, So that is an incredible benefit. So some people, little things in life, they make a huge thing out of it, So that's very unfortunate for them. But if you remember death and impermanence, you won't be interested in those temporary things, right? Because you see that is going to die, and the only thing that helps then is your development of the mind, not those little things in life, you know. So in that way also, contemplating death and impermanence on a regular basis can be so helpful in day-to-day life. It helps to recognize the afflictions and think, oh, if I die now. So you recognize that when those afflictions are strong, oh, I have to work on this, right? And then the little things you worry about all the time, this, that. When you're dying, then you cannot do anything about it anymore. So there's no point in worrying about it, right? So, so the more you contemplate that you can die any moment, then, of course, you have to be realistic in life, but certain worries you can basically prevent from irritating you or taking over, you know. Yeah. So then, when we die, then our mental state is very important, as you know. And the more you train right now, the easier it will become when you're sick. You know, so try when you're sick. That's the right time to practice. No, not that everything is healthy and this, that. But when you're sick, then it's the real opportunity, right? And then you train your mind in dying process, you know. And then, if you do that well, then you prepare, you know. So when things are difficult in life, and then you contemplate the death process, you know, and you contemplate how to transform the mind. Because when you die, it doesn't matter anymore. Different things in life you normally worry about, or you generate strong desire or strong anger about little things in life, you know. When you're dying, then you think, if you're now dying now, and you look back at all those little things you worried about and things you got irritated with and strong desire, then you think, wow, that's stupid, right? Really? People who have a near-death experience, same thing. People who have a near-death experience, they actually see, or they almost dying, right? And they come back to life. All those little things they worried about before, they don't worry about anymore because they know it's a very temporary thing. So it's exactly the same. The more we meditate on death and impermanence, the more our life becomes much more meaningful, right? Yeah. So yeah, that at the time of death, only the consciousness goes, right? The body you leave behind, people you leave behind. So yeah, then you can see that if only consciousness goes, then that's what has to be developed. And if that consciousness is trained in the Lam-Rim, you know, then the next lifetime you pop up somewhere, and then you see Buddhist center or you see ordained people, and think, oh, that's nice, right? So where does that come from? You know, that comes from previous habituation patterns. You know, because there's other people who come and think, what is this strange? Right? Really? I have a few of my own friends from early days when I was in uni. A few of them thought I was completely crazy. You know, become monk, you know. So some people they just don't have a connection, right? So, and when we meet a place like that the first time, we think, oh, interesting, right? And we need that in the next lifetime in order to connect and to do it again, right? It's just one lifetime is not enough. So that's only, you can see the first moment you come in connection with the Dharma or you see an ordained person, you think, oh, interesting, nice. That comes from a previous habituation pattern, right? That's very clear. So if we in this life train well and you know, enjoy the Lam-Rim and see the benefits of it and be positive about it, then next lifetime you hear about Lam-Rim or you see a center or you see a person, a teacher or an ordained person, and you say, oh, interesting. You know, so that's, we have to create, because I said before, the lamas, the teachers, they do various practices, you know, to hook those students who can develop, they can really benefit, you know. So then from our side, if we create, how's it called it? Also the hook or whatever you call it, with these kind of contemplations, habituation aspect of the Lam-Rim, then it works, right? Yeah, so that's kind of why we see that when you die, the only thing that is a benefit is our mental development of the Lam-Rim, right? That's pretty clear. Yeah, that physical things are not of importance, because then your consciousness goes, and then just before you die, as you know, there is the mind gets a bit normally before the clear-eyed mind comes, because the clear-eyed mind is neutral, you know. But before that, when the 80 conceptions dissolve, at that time, then there are still conceptualities, right? So at that time, the mind gets activated, you know, that if it's positive or negative, you know, in that process. And that propels you into the bardo and the next life, right? So then, according to most kind of interpretations, that the bardo is fixed in the sense that your bardo is in accordance with your next life. Yeah. So of course, with certain kind of powerful rituals, there are possibilities. But generally speaking, if that's not done, then the bardo is definite, right? It's in accordance with the next rebirth, you know. So then you're in the bardo stuck, and that is also quite it's like a dream, very confusing dream. But if you activate positive karma, then the bardo will also be more positive in the sense that you probably see all kind of things, but you go the right direction, and then you're born, and then you meet again, right? Yeah, so that's kind of why we see that when we, in this life, the first contact we had with Buddhism, made us kind of connect. So that comes exactly from the same continuum of consciousness of a previous life that we might have connected with Buddha Dharma, right? So now, if we do that in this life, a little bit more strong, then the next lifetime it will happen again. You see? So that's kind of how we have to train the mind. That's just the continuity of consciousness, right? Yeah. So let's do a meditation. On that, just we recall the previous two ones. Yeah, that is definite, and the time is uncertain. And then, what happens at the time of death, or what is of benefit, that possessions and friends and general friends, right? And kasa, and your own body, you have to even leave behind. Yeah, so that only come to conclusion that the Dharma is the only thing that is of benefit, and then conclude, next life is coming, so I better prepare. Yeah, so that's kind of the conclusion for that, and better prepare from the point of view of imprints of the Lam-Rim, and by other practices you engage in, but mainly the Lam-Rim is giving the realizations of bodhicitta, emptiness, right? Yeah. So let's do that contemplation. So first, before we do that, kasa, do the counting of the breath as means to generate concentration. Yeah. So make sure you have the two mental factors, alertness and mindfulness, present to bring your mind back whenever the mind gets distracted in a thought. Yeah, let it go and put your mind back to the counting of the breath. So let's do that for about a minute or two. Yeah, so then we do the visualization, with the Buddha in front. So imagine Guru Buddha in front of yourself in a very bright, three-dimensional aspect, right? So nature, if you think is your teacher, and then the aspect of Sakyamuni Buddha. Yeah, so visualize or imagine that in front of yourself. And then imagine countless beings surrounding yourself who are dying and are reborn in the different realms of suffering, There's no control, they've just been taken by the different ropes of karma and afflictions, taken to the different destinations of suffering without any help. Yeah? So look at that and think, it's your responsibility to do something about it, and the way to do that is to, take interest in future lifetimes and develop your mind in the Lam-Rim, so based on seeing those beings, think you have to do something, and request Guru Buddha in front to bestow blessings and inspirations to develop yourself, Then Guru Buddha is very pleased, and then white light comes to your crown and all beings and purifies negative karma. Pacify obstacles, so do that visualization for about half a minute. And think you're filled with this white nectar light, completely purified. And then again make requests, and this time the yellow 5 colors, but the yellow comes and bestows the potentials, right? So also do that visualization for about half a minute. So then you're filled with this yellowish light, so yeah, your mind is ready to contemplate. So then recall first the two meditations we did this morning, yeah? So the first one, that is, definite. There's no escape. It's going to happen. And we're getting closer to that rather than getting further away. Every time we breathe, we get closer. Every step we take, we get closer. Every heartbeat gets closer, And and we might die in the middle of our plans or projects. So see that there's no escape. It's going to happen. So analyze that for yourself for 2 minutes. So not only that is going to happen, for sure, but the time is very uncertain, right? So recall that aspect, that there's no guarantee about your lifespan, and there's kind of so many causes and conditions that causes death, like sickness, viruses, accidents, very easy to get complications and die. And our body, because our body is so fragile, you see? And so it's very easy just to die, get complications and the organs, they stop functioning properly and the whole thing collapses. Yeah, so see that the time of death is extremely uncertain. It can happen any moment. It can happen in your sleep. It can happen waking up or falling or getting sick, and then within a few weeks or a few months it's over. So see that the time is extremely uncertain, Yeah. So analyze that for about 2 minutes. So then I have a short conclusion here first. See that and that is going to happen, and not just going to happen, it can happen anytime. I come to that conclusion and focus on that for about half a minute. Okay, so then you're going to die, and you don't know when, it can happen any moment. So what do you have to do? What is of benefit when you die? Your friends, your kind of safety in all the things you build up in your life. It looks all very stable and give you safety of money and things like that. All the possessions you have, a stable income, a stable house, friends or partners and things like that. It looks all very stable at the moment, but when you die, does that really benefit at that time? Maybe not. Yeah, so analyze that for yourself. If that possessions and things and money and and friends and family and things like that, and they look all kind of very stable around you and something really important in life, generally speaking. But when you die, does it really benefit? Yeah, so analyze that for yourself for about a minute or two. So you see all those securities we built in our life and see them as very important and see them as making our life stable and comfortable, things like that. But when you die, then it doesn't really benefit, right? So see that aspect, and then also your own body. You put so much time and effort in guarding your body with health and exercise and food and things to make sure everything is fine, and and you identify yourself so much with the body or how you look, your appearance of your body in relation to others. You put so much time and effort in clothing and things like that. But when you die, then does the body really help in the process or not? Yeah, so then you have to detach, right? So at the time of death, the body is of no use, basically, because the consciousness leaves it and just becomes a corpse, Yeah, so analyze that aspect as well, that even the body just becomes a corpse and, consciousness just goes. Yeah. So see that, the securities we built are maybe not that secure. And then our body even we have to leave behind. So all the effort we put in that is gone. So look at those two aspects also for about a minute or two. So then see that friends and family and possessions and securities we have in our life and our own body, when you die, it doesn't really benefit, right, for the dying process. You have to leave it all behind. So, you continue the consciousness goes, so maybe it's important to develop that. So analyze that also for about a minute or so. So then conclude that, all those things I feel secure with in this life doesn't really bring that much benefit when I'm dying. But the real security is the consciousness, right? That moves. So if there's positive imprints, then the future lifetimes will be much longer in duration than just this simple life. So maybe it's important to invest, make imprints in the mind of the Lam-Rim, and then you create the right causes for a peaceful death, but also for the next life. You will be able to connect again, and as we said before, the first time you then connect, you think, oh, nice, interesting. And then you just do the same thing again, right? So see the importance of putting stable imprints in your continuity of consciousness before it's too late, right? That we have to, put effort into that right now. So analyze that for about a minute or two. then come to a conclusion that says, yes, that's true, I really have to develop my mind to prepare for the next life, and for that purpose I have to get the imprints of the Lam-Rim leading up to, renunciation, bodhicitta, and emptiness, right? That really matters. That's the real thing that matters in this life, to prepare for the next. Yeah, so come to that conclusion, and focus on that conclusion for about half a minute. And then have a kind of determination for yourself to go that direction. Yeah, that's the most important thing that matters in this life, is the preparation for the next, to create the right causes and conditions to meet the Dharma, have a pressure and rebirth, and develop, you see. So yeah, then make a commitment for yourself that the real thing that matters in this life is the preparation for the next, and preparing your mind in the Lam-Rim, So yeah, come to that kind of determination or promise for yourself, and focus on that for about half a minute. Yeah, so then we can stop for relax for a minute or two. Yeah. So you see people who are dying or having cancer and they're giving a few weeks, they still, most of them, they still don't really believe they're going to die. When my father had cancer, and I asked a few of my teachers for observations, and then drew chemo and things like that didn't come out very well or beneficial, but still, because my father was not that much into Buddhism, still said, yeah, but I'm gonna try. You see? So people still think it's possible to stop that, so strong, But yeah, if you contemplate these things, then you see that when it's time, right? Of course, you can try to make your life as long as possible if you use it in a good way, but we grasp so much. People who are dying tomorrow, they still don't believe it's going to happen to them, right? It's very clear, So that needs quite some work, particularly the second point of the second root, right? That the time is extremely uncertain. When you have that understood, then it's like when you die, it's like a fish jumping out of water. It's kind of not a big deal, Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes very interesting to see the stories. There's, of course, people who are monastics and they sometimes in the monastery more you joke about it all the time, and it's a part of life, you see. So there was one monk. He was always very unhappy. He was not very successful in Gyume, He used to be not very happy all the time. He said himself, very difficult sometimes, But he kept practicing, He kept doing all his prayers and contemplations now and then. He was not a great meditator, but he kept going, So when he died, he saw His Holiness everywhere, Very interesting. So that means that even though sometimes for us it's a bit difficult, to do the things, but if you just keep going, you create these kind of courses, right? So it's very interesting to see. And then when they die like completely ready, So that's very peaceful. That means if we just keep going and do our best, then at the time of death there's not much to worry about, because we did our best, and then you just like a fish out of water, and there you go, So then you probably can die in a much more peaceful way, although physically it might be difficult things and things like that, but then you have this complete acceptance and just, because it's not very difficult to die, it just happens to you, right? So, so then maybe we do one more contemplation in relation with the precious rebirth, so that you have found this incredible opportunity, found the teachings and a teacher and all the things you have. So first contemplate that aspect, that we're extremely fortunate, as we contemplated on the first day, to have a mind that has the potential to develop. Then we have found a teacher or teachers, most of you have quite a few teachers, so precious, And then we have all the conditions lined up of meeting these teachings and instructions, and be able to do retreats and meditate, and the mind is interested, and it's not always easy, but at least we try, and we have the interest to try, and that's amazing, you see? So see how fortunate you are to have all those conditions, right? So recall that for about a minute or so, And then this incredible opportunity you have met is not going to last forever, because you're going to die, and it can happen any moment, and the only thing that happens helps, or the only security you have when you die is your mental training in the Lam-Rim, right? So look at the incredible potential and conditions that are lined up right now. Because if you die, it's a question if you meet that in the exactly same way again, right? So think now is the time to put imprints in my mind, to contemplate, study, contemplate, meditate on the Lam-Rim, So come to that kind of conclusion, or analyze that first, if that's really needed, for about a minute or so, And then come to a conclusion that sees that you have these incredible conditions perfectly lined up. You're going to die. Better get your act together before it's too late, right? So really see there's a need to put some more effort into the Lam-Rim before the death comes. Yeah. So come to that kind of conclusion. Focus on that for about half a minute. Yeah. And then make a determination or prayer, a promise for yourself to do this, to put more effort, whatever time there's left, to habituate your mind to the Lam-Rim, Yeah, so make that promise for yourself and focus on that for about half a minute. And then we ask Guru Buddha for blessing inspirations to do this. And then you imagine that the merit field we have visualized this morning absorbs, right? So there are the groups of Buddha in the center, and then all the aspects of methods dissolve into Maitreya, and the aspects of wisdom dissolve into Manjushri, and the different lineages behind, above, like Yamuni Buddha, the three deities, Kadam drops, and Mahamudra, they dissolve into Vajradhara. So now you have Sakyamuni Buddha there, and then on the right of Sakyamuni Buddha, you have Maitreya, on the left you have Manjushri, and behind you have Vajradhara. And then in front, imagine all the gurus dissolve into the aspect of Lama Tsongkhapa in front of Kasa, Sakyamuni Buddha. And then all the deities and Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Shravakas, Prajekas, and Tagastakinis, protectors, they all dissolve into Lama Tsongkhapa. And then there are 5 groups, right? You have Sakyamuni Buddha there. Then behind Vajradhara, right of the Buddha, Maitreya, and left Manjushri, in front Lama Tsongkhapa. And then they all dissolve. The 4 groups, they dissolve into the central figure, Buddha Sakyamuni. And then Buddha Sakyamuni dissolve into your own Guru Buddha in front. Yeah, so then it's all in the whole merit field is into your Guru Buddha in front. Yeah. And then Guru Buddha comes to your crown, and then facing the same direction as you're facing. And then the throne dissolves into lotus. Then you can imagine that Guru Buddha on your crown is, basically the nature of all Buddhas and, Bodhisattvas, deities, Tagastakinis, Dharma protectors, right? And then that dissolves to your crown, throat, and then at the level of your heart. It melts into light and becomes one with your own mind, and the Buddhas, Guru Buddha's qualities of all the Buddhas, merge with your own mind at the level of your heart. Yeah, so you can feel a little bit of blessing there if that happens. Okay, so then we can dedicate. Janju semju rinpoche magye panang gegyu chi kyaba nyamba meba yang gone gonde belwa sho toni tawa rinpoche magye panang gegyu chi kyaba nyamba meba yang gone gonde belwa sho gewa gunde yanda lam dame chegi pela lonje Saran lamgi yundan razuni doje changi kobanyo do show. Yeah, so this evening we don't have a session because Lama have a talk, right? So Lam-Rim we meet again tomorrow, right? Yeah.